Welcome everyone to our a new live on behalf of Wines of Portugal. This is our seventh event that we are doing, and we are discussing Fernão Pires. And we have a special guest who is Joana Silva Lopes, who knows everything about Fernão Pires. So I am just waiting for her to, there she is, to wave, and I can invite her, and will be off and running. So please, in the meantime, send us your questions. There's a lot of people already coming in. It's an exciting variety. I just tasted. Hello, Joana. Good to see you.
Hi, Dirceu, how are you?
Welcome to you. Where are you speaking from? Are you in Tejo?
No, I'm in Bombarral, in Lisbon region.
Okay, excellent. So for those of you, what I know about Joana, she is correct me, Joana, but you're from the fourth generation of your family who's been involved in wine. You graduated from Lisbon University with an agronomic engineering qualification. Then you went to do a master's on viticulture and enology. Am I right?
Yes, you are completely true.
And I read some time ago. I'm not sure if I'm mistaken, but you worked somewhere in Australia.
Yeah, I did a train there. I work at Best Wines in Grampians in Victoria.
Oh, wonderful.
It's a really amazing winery, small one, and
Yes.
spent around 4 months.
I visit the winery there. I think some of the most amazing old vines I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's amazing. And for me, I think that Best Wines are some details very similar to Casal Branco, because the old vines, the old genetic patrimony of vineyards, it's amazing. And some details are very similar.
Fantastic. I'm really excited to speak to you today, and to be honest, for me to learn, and for all of us here. So put your questions, learn about Fernão Pires or Maria Gomes, which I don't know that much. I know a little bit, but the first question I have for you, Joana, is we speak about the great wines of Portugal. We talk about Alvarinho, we talk about Arinto and Cruzado. Does Fernão Pires has the potential to be included amongst the best white wines of Portugal, or the best grapes of Portugal?
Yes, of course. I don't have any doubts. Our Fernão Pires was recognized last year one of the best Fernão Pires, one of the best white varietals wines in Portugal. I think Fernão Pires have all the potential, but needs more marketing, more help for all the peoples know the variety. But in terms of quality, I have no doubts.
Wonderful. That's I've tasted 3 wines. We're going to taste 3 wines. I'll show you the labels in a minute. So you said it has been recognized as one of the best in Portugal. I know I was lucky to be part of the panel. But in your opinion, it's not that well known, let's be honest. And my question to you is what is necessary to become to get more notoriety, in your opinion?
In first, I think that Portuguese, we have to believe in the potential of our varieties, and Fernão Pires is one of them. Maybe Fernão Pires is the mainly grape Portuguese variety that's most planted, and we have to believe in our potential, because I think that when we pick Fernão Pires early, for example, I think that the potential change strongest. The key is pick early, is have the Fernão Pires in the correct soils, in the correct terroirs. I know different terroirs do very different Fernão Pires, but in our case, I think that in sandy soils of Tejo region, we have a very good terroir, and I believe that in Portugal we have another different terroirs that Fernão Pires goes very well. But first we have to believe and show the world how Fernão Pires how is running. It's very good variety. goes very
So
well.
I want to explore to you things about viticulture, winemaking, but based on what you're telling me, there's a little bit of lack of belief on the variety. Is that right?
Yeah. Fernão
Good.
Pires may be like some of other Portuguese varieties. Fernão Pires, for me, it's a good example of this. But we have to believe in our varieties. And
Fantastic.
we have 2 or 3 or 4 that they are very good.
Wonderful.
And Fernão Pires, it's one of them.
Okay, that's good. That's established. So we have guests here. So thanks, all of you, for your waves. People from Brazil, obviously, from Germany, from UK, from France. So you're all welcome. Put your questions. There's a question here, which is you're jumping into the soil. Which is the best soil? If we're talking about top quality Fernão Pires, which is the top soil for you?
Dirceu, I only can talk about my experience, and my experience with Fernão Pires, it's always in sandy soils. In Casal Branco, our soil is completely sand, and at the bottom, at 2 meters, 1.5 meters, 2 meters, we have a clay layer that it's very important to retain the water. Because otherwise, sandy soil, it's very easy lost the humidity. And the sandy soil of Casal Branco, I think, with the layer of clay, it's very important. Of course, we have vineyards with 80 years old, between 7 and 80 years old.
Wow, as old as that.
The most young Fernão Pires that we have in Casal Branco is 55 years old. The young.
Wow, okay.
The oldest is close to 80 years old. It's amazing, and I think that this thing, it's a very important detail.
Okay, there are some questions here from my friend in São Paulo, Gil. So I got a few more questions. Some people sent me some questions in advance. He was one of them. There's another one here. Soils around the rivers or near the rivers? I don't know if you.
In Tejo region, you have 3 different types of soils. In our region, Almeirim, we have 2 different types. But all our vineyards are on the sandy soils. It's not in a bank. It's a little bit more. It's not close to the river. It's 2 kilometers from the river in completely sandy soils. Because near the river, in the bank, the creek, you have more deep soils, more clay soils with organic material. Organic, it's more higher, and of course the crop, the yield, it's much more higher than in sandy soils. We are talking about sandy soils with no drip irrigation, and with lower, it's around 5 tons per hectare of tons of grapes per hectare. Yeah.
Okay. Joanna, we have a lot of people watching us now, and many more people are going to watch us later. And I got a question for you that I think is important for all of us. Why should the consumer choose Fernão Pires as opposed to any other variety, international variety? Let's speak about other varieties.
I think Fernão Pires can show very interesting wine that you can buy and stay, and you can drink now or aging, and goes very well. And otherwise, I think in the opposite of the maybe Chardonnay or Riesling or Sauvignon Blanc, it's more, maybe for me, it's the meaning of minerality. When you taste Fernão Pires, you can taste some aromas, but the most important characteristic is in amount. It's very minerality, fresh. We can feel salinity, and gives very interesting wines. Not the common ones that you can taste, and after a bottle, maybe like 10. No. You can drink 1 bottle, and other and other, because the wine, it's not massive, it's not
Sure.
boring wine. It's very serious, not too exuberant, but very good in palate, with very freshness, acidity, salinity, and minerality. Maybe these 4 words are very important to describe the Fernão Pires and what the people can find if they bottle, if they buy a bottle.
By
I
itself.
think the difficult is how to convince people to buy a bottle.
First bottle. I'll see if I can show you everyone who's watching the wines that we have here. Those are the 3 wines that I have with me. There's a wine from the Douro, a wine from and 2 wines from the Tejo. And I tell you, they are really interesting wines. I've tasted. On purpose, I taste them very, very cold early on, and then I taste them again just now. And I'll tell you a little bit about the wines in a second. But before we get there, is it possible to compare with any variety, any other variety, Fernão Pires, or is it something different by itself, unique?
In my opinion, I think that Fernão Pires, I don't like to compare. Fernão Pires is Fernão Pires, Chardonnay is Chardonnay, and I think that Fernão Pires has quality to sell by itself, have enough quality to show by itself. I don't like to compare. It's impossible to compare. I think I prefer to. I don't like to compare the Portuguese varieties with the other international varieties. It's different.
Okay, that's fair enough. To be honest, I tasted. They are quite different in styles, and I'll tell you a bit in a second. There are some questions here which I'm going to answer later on. Thank you for the questions about vinification tips and hints. We're going to cover vinification for sure. So thank you very much for your question. Let me see if I find any other questions. In the meantime, can Fernão Pires age well? In your opinion?
Yeah. In Casal Branco, we start to produce the first vintage that we bottled. It's 89. And when I start working in Casal Branco in 2014 with Manuel Lobo, we decided go to the cellar and try to bring the oldest vintage of Falcoaria Fernão Pires. And we have a lot of them. And it's amazing tasting. It's amazing. I'm totally surprised because my first experience with Fernão Pires, it's in Casal Branco, and I don't recognize this aging potential like nowadays. I know that these wines have. We taste. Imagine 93, 97. It's amazing years. Amazing.
And he's still drinking. He's still drinking well.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can feel completely different. And in this wine, the 3 first years are totally different, and then start aging. But for me, this aging, it's amazing. You can feel the kerosene notes. You can feel more complexity. But if you have the enough acidity, the wines and Fernão Pires can aging very, very well. Very, very well. It's a good surprise when I came to Casal Branco and taste some old vintages. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I think I'm going to. There's another wine here. Thank you very much, Sophia from Wines of Portugal. She has put on the chat here the wines that we are tasting. Thank you very much. So I'll tell you as soon as I taste. I'll taste one in a minute. I've got an observation here from a friend of mine in São Paulo. He says it's more observation about the behavior of Fernão Pires. It seems to appear mostly in region with moderate climate. It's productive, adapts well in different types of soil. It doesn't seem to like cold conditions. And in warm climates, it can suffer rapid loss of acidity. Is that about right for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Completely
then
true.
and this is thank you very much. This is all correct. So now it leads on to a question, which is well, it's not a question because I think you alluded to it earlier on because some people pick Fernão Pires quite early to retain freshness. But
Yeah.
would you describe Fernão Pires as a variety with, in my opinion, is a low acid variety?
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
compare with the Inter, correct?
Yeah. It's no compare. We can compare with the Rinks. Rinks has much more acidity than Fernão Pires. But
Exactly.
for us at Casal Branco, we think that the key for have a good Fernão Pires is pick early. The optimum moment of picking grape for us it's very important. And in Fernão Pires, it's the most important factors. I can tell you that in 2017, we start picking Fernão Pires for Falcory for this wine at 23 of July.
Wow.
23 of July. I'm in holidays and starts see the results of analysis, and then I decided to move up to the vineyard to taste some grapes, and then I called to my boss and we have to pick Fernão Pires in the next 2 days. Otherwise we lost all the potential. And these decisions are very hard to take because we are in a big company with a lot of workers and we have to management all the logistics. It's not easy because it's not a small place, but we have to take these decisions, and these decisions do all the difference. In this year, 2021, this year we start 4th of August.
Okay.
4.
Yeah, still quite early.
Early.
So no more summer holidays for you guys.
Yeah, but for me, it's a little bit the result, a little bit of the climate exchanges that we talked before.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Every year, comparing with the last 50 years, that every year the tendency it's each year more early.
It's incredible. But I was listening to you, and I as you mentioned about picking date, I turn over all the bottles, and the first one which I'm going to taste is Quinta da Veza from the Douro, and they're all very low alcohol. They're 12.5 to 13%. So they're really, as you said, they're wines that you can drink, you can enjoy. They're not heavy. And this first wine, which is in your chart there, Sophia put that Quinta da Veza, is from the Douro, and it's 2019 vintage. So if you come across it, I've tasted when the wine is quite cold, and I tasted recently. It's got lovely restrained citrus fruits, has a sense of freshness, which is surprising from the Douro. If you think about two things, Fernão Pires, which is a grape supposed to have low acidity, and Douro, which is a hot region. So, and this wine, the first thing I've seen is the elegance, the sense of freshness, the vibrancy, and it's quite surprising for the Douro, to be honest. And then I think there's been, I detect no oak influence here, but I detect a lot of lees ages, or batonnage, a lot of biscuit and yeasty notes, which is quite appealing. But you do find here the structure. I find some. Is Fernão Pires phenolic to an extent or not?
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
Because I did get a little bit of that, a little bit of a grip that you pick from those wines. But this wine is fermented in stainless steel. There's no oak, and it's just a lovely fresh wine that will surprise people by the fact that it's from the Douro Valley, which is it's a nice wine. I've got some questions here that people posted, but I want to talk about viticulture briefly. In terms of viticulture, what are the main advantages of Fernão Pires?
Dirceu, Fernão Pires, it's very easy to management at vineyards. It's easy. It's not too susceptible to disease. It's normal. Sometimes we have powdery mildew, but it's not a variety very propense to the disease. It's easy. The management at vineyard, it's easy. It's not difficult.
Okay. We talk about
the key. I think in the viticulture, the most important, not in our case because the whole vines, the yield it's not too high. It's balanced, but I think that in a young vines, you have to do the right job, to have the right competition to try to balance the crop, the production. I think it's very important. Yeah.
You're talking about crop. It is a high yielding grape variety, hence the names it's known by as locally. So those of you who don't speak English, it's called paga dívida, which means paying your debts, and something else. There's another one I forgot. I think it's called what's the other? There's another name for it. Paga dívida in Cavalo de Batalha, isn't it? Paga dívidas. And I also heard people call it Cavalo de Batalha. It's like a workhorse, war horse. It basically is a high. What it says.
I have some problems to listen to you.
I
don't know if it's my internet or it's yours.
No, I hope people can hear me. No, but it's basically the name that it's known by. It's basically is a high yielding variety. My question to you is, on those old vines that you mentioned, what sort of yield per hectare or per vine do you get?
In our vineyards?
Yeah.
In our vineyards, in the old vines, with between 70 to 80 years old, it's around 5 to 6 tons per hectare.
Wow!
But I know in a bank river, it's not our case, but it's in a bank river, a very young vineyard with 5, 6, 8 years old, we can achieve more than 12 to 20 tons per hectare, but it isn't our case.
Okay.
And of course, the wines at the end, the wines are completely different. Yeah.
Of course, I can imagine.
This is the name. You are talking about this when I have some problems to listen to you. But the name paga dívidas, the translation in English. It's not the variety. It's not susceptible to disease because, and for this reason, it's a safe variety to the agricultures, and it's always the very similar production, and it's easy to manage in the vineyard, and at the end, it's good for the agriculture to sell the grapes because in different types of soils, we can achieve the very high productions. But in Casal Branco, is the opposite because our terroir is different. Yeah.
So it is the most widely planted variety in Portugal. It is widely planted in Tejo, but it appears also in many other areas in Douro, as the one we just tasted, in Beiras, etc. Joana, why do we see so little? It's a question that I think Ajus also asked. I remember now. Why do we see so few examples of varietals Fernão Pires, especially in international markets?
Dirceu, can you repeat the question? The question is why it's difficult to find.
So why don't we see more 100% Fernão Pires wines?
I don't know. I think that we have to come back to our first minutes. And I think that the principal question is we Portuguese has to believe in our potential, in Fernão Pires' potential. I think nowadays I don't have any doubts about the potential. But when I start working at 15 years ago, if you ask me this question, maybe I will answer you. I don't know, but I don't believe. But nowadays, because I I'm lucky and I have the possibility to doing some Fernão Pires old vines, and my opinion is completely different. But first of all, we have to believe in our potential, in our grape varieties, in our Fernão Pires. And then, of course, our Vini Portugal, marketing, all the stuff, all the work that you are doing, it's we have to continue to do, and more.
Communication. Because to be honest, I've tasted 3 wines today. I'm going to talk about the second one now, and I'll leave yours for as the last wine. I am really, I knew the quality of Fernão Pires, but I am really surprised about the quality of those 3 wines in the diversity in style. But the second wine that I have here is from Companhia das Lesírias. Are they far from you?
It's in the Tejo region. It's in our region.
Yeah, I know, but are they quite far from you or not?
It's quite far. It's around maybe 60 kilometers. 60 kilometers. It's more close to Lisbon, and Casal Branco it's more north of region. And the Companhia das Lesírias, it's more close to Alcochete. It's close to Lisbon, more in the south of region.
Because what I know about reading about these wines, I've tasted some amazing Alicante Boucher from this company, some great wines. They make great wines, but this wine specifically, what I know, it's planted. They have vineyards planted in the middle of a forest. This is also sandy soils. It's also very, very old vines. I don't know exactly how old the vines are, but what I do know is the yield is very low. It's about 30 hectoliters per hectare, so it's quite low. If you're thinking about, especially for Fernão Pires. And this wine here is, it was just normally hand harvested, picked, pressed, and then clarified. And it was fermented in the second-year-old barrels, French barrels. So you do have a hint of that sweet spices from the oak. It's a really serious wine. It's got lovely peach and stone fruits. Evident oak, obviously, but not too much. And what I like about this wine is the roundness and the texture. So if you can find this producer, it's a really good example. So go for it. You have in the chat the name of the wine, Companhia das Lesírias, Fernão Pires, and the vintage is that I have in front of me is 19. Yeah, it's 2019.
Yeah.
So it's lovely and fresh, and I think understanding more about the variety, you can tell how it's going to age because it's got a nice concentration, it's got balancing freshness, and it's got a little bit of oak that I think is going to age well.
So every years we taste. Companhia das Lesírias, 1836. For us, for our team, we taste very often this one because it's a reference for us, and it's very good to comparing the Falcoria, our Falcoria to 1836. I think it's a good exercise.
I think this is why you're saying you make a great example. You compare against your neighbor, which makes a fantastic example. If more people are doing that, if more people are reaching to a higher quality, I think you have more critical mass, first of all, and it elevates the whole region and the whole variety. So, but those two wines or the 3 wines that I tasted, they're really interesting and special. Do you have any experience with the Fernão Pires from any other region of Portugal?
No. The first time, and we only do Fernão Pires at Tejo region. We don't have the experience. So some experience I have trying to some examples of different regions, but for making wines only in the Tejo region. Fernão Pires only in.
And do you say, okay, you haven't made it, but you tasted wines from different regions. Can you tell a little bit about the origin by tasting the wine? In other words, does Fernão Pires behave differently in different climates? Different regions?
Yes, of course. I think it's completely different. You can try. I don't know if you know, but I have some good examples in Bairrada, in Dão, in north of Portugal too. But it's completely different. It's completely different. I think in Portugal we have the sea and the proximity of the sea. It's amazing when we have a small country and two different. The climate it's completely different. You drive 200 kilometers to the interior, to the border with Spain, and in 2 hours. I have this example. I think it's amazing. I live in Bombajal. You know, Bombajal. It's close to Óbidos, and nowadays every day I went to Casal Branco. It's 65 kilometers of distance, and normally we have around 10 to 15 degrees of temperature of the difference between in Tejo region, in Almeirim, where Casal Branco is, and when I move up to my home, it's only 65 kilometers to the sea. It's the difference. It's more than 10 degrees in half an hour driving. And I start the harvest in Tejo region at 4 of August, like this year, and then here at my home, I finished last week. It's amazing. It's amazing. This shows what Portugal is, what our climate is, and all the differences.
Yeah, fantastic. That's good too. I want to move now to, there's a question early on about winemaking, so the tips for vinification. Before we get to that, there was a question here about, I think I can answer this question competently now after I tasted those 3 wines, but also Agilso asked, if the producer chooses to limit the yield to do green harvest to pick an optimum ripeness, is it possible to make wine with more structure for long-term aging? I think you already answered that. The answer is emphatically yes. Yeah. And so I think that was answered before. But thanks for the question. So this is a question you sent me in advance. You talked about the advantages, Joana, of having Fernão Pires in the vineyard, how high yielding and easy to grow, etc. What are the advantages of Fernão Pires in the cellar? Is it easy to work?
So yeah, it's easy to work. It's easy. It's not a difficult variety to management at the winery. It's easy, and I think Fernão Pires can give us the like these examples that you are trying, but in a blend, it's a very good variety. You can do, because if you mix between, imagine Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay or Alvarinho and Fernão Pires, you can have a very good quantity, a good blend, and Fernão Pires don't, are very it's very well balanced. It's very well balanced, not superposed, not you. When we do a blend with only 5% of Sauvignon Blanc or 10%, Sauvignon Blanc, it's there. 5% of Sauvignon Blanc, it's 2 Sauvignon Blanc. Fernão Pires, it's the opposite. It's very well balanced, very Pacific with other varieties, I think.
So I think that this was a question by one of our guests early on, which I thank for the questions. Is I think what does Fernão Pires bring to the blend? I think so. I think your answer is it doesn't have a huge amount of personality, but it can blend with any other varieties well. Is there any specific variety that it works very well with Fernão Pires?
Yeah, we have. I think that we have a good example of this blend. We did Terra de Lobos. It's our entry level range. In our range, this is mainly 80% of Fernão Pires and 20% of Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc gives more vegetal character, and Fernão Pires gives the mount, gives the balance. and gives the good finished, and Sauvignon Blanc gives maybe more drinkable wine, more youngest for young and more easy drink wines. I think the blend, it's very good result. It's amazing, and it's amazing because the first time that I'm in London to give some tastings, and all the people ask me about, what is this, and if I said that this is 80% of Fernão Pires, nobody wants to taste. But and then I start talking that this is a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, I want to taste, and then after taste, I will explain you. This is 50 or 20% of Sauvignon Blanc and 80% of Fernão Pires. And what is this Fernão Pires? Because it's very hard to pronounce Fernão Pires.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. And then, but all the people after taste, they love the wine. They love the wine. You are talking about the wine that's no aging in wood. It's very easy drinkable wine, But the blend works very well. You have to taste it.
Excellent. If you pick, you're talking about picking time early on. If you pick Fernão Pires really early, even those wines here, they're 12.5% alcohol. But if you pick them earlier, even earlier, you're gonna have higher acidity and so on and so forth. But what does it get spicy and green, or like a Sauvignon, or how does it behave if you pick even earlier?
It's not too vegetable like Sauvignon is when we pick Sauvignon early, but it's more difficult in Fernão Pires. If you pick too early, you can find more fruity notes. It's more vegetable, but you lose the peach notes or passion fruit notes that you can feel with the at the optimum point of maturation. You don't achieve this. More green, but not too green like Sauvignon Blanc or not another variety. It's okay.
So you mentioned earlier
too early, then too late. I would prefer start early.
So if you pick too late, you have a very flabby wine, low acid, but you have more yellow fruits, peach and things like that. What do if you miss the picking time? What happens?
It's a problem for us. This problem don't exist because our vineyard for this wine, it's only 8 hectares, around 8 hectares. And what happens? We always pick by hand, and we spend around 4, 5, 6 days picking all this patch. And what happened every year? Only 2 days of these 6 or 7 we used for this wine. Maybe it happened after 2 or 3 days of maturation, because it's impossible to pick all the 8 hectares in one day. We lose acidity. The wines, it's a little bit more boring in the mouthful, and the vineyard shows us that we have to pick in the right moment. It's impossible. We can pick 8 hectares in 2 days or 3 days. Sometimes I spend there 6 days, 7 days, but our experience, we never we do different vinifications. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day of it's each day. It's each day of picking. We did different vinifications, and the results are the opposite. And Manuel Lobo and me, we are very, very. We don't have doubts that the right point of maturation. It's very short. It's very short term. I think that in the red varieties we have more time, 2 or 3 days. Sometimes we don't have. Oh, okay, no problem. But in a wine, in particular, in old vines with a low crop, 2 or 3 days make all the difference.
So the picking window is really, really, really short, like Sauvignon Blanc, for example.
only tell this.
I don't
In
know.
2070, I think 23 of July or 24. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's crazy. Start, and all the people tell me, why you don't start in Monday? But it's crazy. Yeah, no, we have to start now.
Joanna, I don't want to rush to your wine. Well,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. The wine that I have here, it's the 2018 vintage.
Yeah, it's like me.
Yeah, that's that's one I have. So tell us about what's so special about this wine, how you made it, and why people should rush and buy a bottle as early as tomorrow morning, if not tonight.
This 2018, it's a very good year for whites. I think that we picked these grapes around the middle of August, a little bit more late than in 2017, but we don't have to make any corrections of acidity. All the acidity here, it's natural, because we talk about this. And I think the result I will put in my glass.
This is the wine it got the best varietal of Portugal this year. Is this the wine, or this vintage?
Yeah. 2018. Yeah. This year. Yeah.
This is enough excuse for people to go and rush and buy, because it's the best white varietal wine of Portugal 2021, and
I think the question is here.
So you're talking about very old wines, obviously hand picking, and then goes into the vineyard, into the winery. What happens then?
We pressed. We pressed.
Whole bunch?
No. With the steam.
So this stem and press. Okay.
Yeah. We choose at the. We have, for explaining, we have a very consistent group of the women that work at the vineyard all of the year, and they are very, very careful. They're very careful to picking grapes, and sometimes when the grapes come to the winery, we do some sort, and then with the steam we go to the press. Very traditional winemaking techniques, very traditional one, and then we clarify in the concrete tanks. All the vinifications or all the fermentations are in concrete tanks, and then after 3 or 4 days fermenting, after clarification, we rack and start fermentation, and then after 3 or 4 days we move to the barrels. Around 35 to 40% of new oak.
Wow.
And then 35, 40. Yeah.
Wow. I don't pick. Okay, obviously the one that knows you pick oak, but you don't. It must be very low toast, because I don't see. It's not a very.
Yeah, it's a very low toast. It's a very low toast, and in some of barrels you use also acacia.
Okay, yeah, of course.
You use acacia because it's very important and works very well with the Fernão Pires. Helps to the acidity, and it's not too oaky. And our compromise in aging in barrels, we want to show the people that buy this wine the potential of Fernão Pires. And the opposite, we don't have to show the potential of the barrels. The barrels help us to give complexity, to give mouthful. It's very important aging the wine there. But we only use around 35% of new barrels. The other 65, it's 2, 3, and 4-year-old barrels.
Okay.
We use barrels until 4 years. Yeah.
And what size? 2 to 5 liters?
Yeah, 225.
Okay.
225.
The oak here is a master class on how to use oak. It's there. It's in the background. Doesn't dominate at all. Just adds a layer of complexity. I love the fruit, notes of peach, notes of stone fruits, really elegant, really inviting, and lovely. The thing I like the most is the amazing texture. It's got lovely texture, and the ease of work is, as I said, is phenomenal. So it's well done. No wonder it's one of the greatest white wines of Portugal. So thanks for sharing that with us.
It's a pleasure.
There's a question here from thank you, Gilson. Is there a reason that Fernão Pires is normally used in blends with Arinto or with some other more acid varieties?
Yeah. I think it's common and works very well. I have the opportunity to tell about it. I think Fernão Pires goes very well with the different varieties. Of course, you pick a little bit late, and if you lose a little bit this potential of this wine, it's normal. It happens because it's impossible to pick all the grapes in 1 or 2 days. And it goes very well with the Arinto because the Arinto has very good acidity, much more acidity than Fernão Pires, and it goes very well. It's normal. I think the good things of Fernão Pires, that's I'm telling it's we can blend of different varieties. It goes well.
Excellent. I've got some more questions that came in advance. And talking about Fernão Pires and sparkling wine. So what is the role of Fernão Pires in... We talk about Fernão... Because Fernão Pires, we talk about... In Tejo, everyone talks about Fernão Pires. No one mentioned Maria Gomes.
No, in Tejo, it's always Fernão Pires.
Okay.
Nobody knows Maria Gomes.
Okay. So let's carry on talking about Fernão Pires, by the same variety. What is the role of Fernão Pires in sparkling wines? Is it widely used?
I don't know. I don't have tasting sparkling wine with Fernão Pires, I think. I'm trying to remember. But I think that it can work. I can believe that it works very well because if you pick early,
judging by what I tasted, if the acidity is okay, as long as it's, I think it'll probably be a good entry level. Maybe I could make a serious sparkling, but I think a tank method, I think it would go well.
Why not? If you pick early. And then if aging the base wine, maybe with some oak with 2 or 3 years old, why not? I think it's a good tip to next year to.
So sparkling. That's thanks for a question from Gilson. So okay, but people experiment with different styles of winemaking that you are aware of. You talk about you ferment in cement. Are people have you tried or thought about fermenting Fernão Pires on skins?
I never taste, and I never do it. But it's a very good tip for the next year also too. But yeah, why not? But I never did this because I think with the aging in barrels. And we do batonnage. We start batonnage in the week after the fermentation. We start batonnage 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. And then we are in the time we are decrease the quantity. For me, it's this balanced, this amount, this complexity that we can achieve with contacts. Maybe I think it's enough here, and I like this. And we have this style, and we have to maintain this. I never taste, but why not? But I never taste because I think that in the barrels, ending in the barrels, doing batonnage, we can reach the complexity that we can find in this bottle. And for me, it's enough. It's my height.
I'm looking forward to visiting you and tasting an old Fernão Pires. That's what I'm looking forward to. But
we are close.
And I've got some more questions here from our guests. But before that, I'm going to ask all of you, including the guests, because I don't have the answer for this. but has anyone have ever came across Fernão Pires from any other country? Because I have not. Have you? Have you seen anything?
No,
So
no.
anyone put the answer in the chat if you ever seen Fernão Pires from. So we need to learn together. Now there is a question here. Oh, I missed it. Basically, there we are. Anyway, there was something to do with key to the components, the resilience and the level of freshness. Does it come from the cooling influence of the river? I think it does help the cooling influence as you suggested. Let's see any more questions. And there was somebody else had the questions. Somebody asked a question. I just asked. I didn't see the question. So thank you for the questions. Have you heard of Fernão Pires from outside Portugal? Whoever asked the question, thanks for reading my mind, because that's something I was curious. I have not heard of anything. Hence, I asked the whole group. Okay, fantastic. I think we're done for the questions. Now let's talk about the future then. So taking into account climate change and taking into account consumer preferences and so on, what do you think is the future of Fernão Pires?
I think Fernão Pires, will continue. People will continue plant Fernão Pires. I don't have doubts about this. The question is, with all these changes, the viticulture management have to change. And for me, the most important, because I'm an agronomist, but the most important is in a vineyard. We have to management the vineyard to your aims. If I want do only Fernão Pires of this type, we have to have this in mind. Otherwise, if you want to produce high crop or medium level range, you have to have different techniques and do the different since pruning until use cover crops or not. The interventions to the crop management, all these details are very important. And before of this, the next plantations, it's very, very important to study the soil, do all the works of understand not only what our eyes can see, but the things and the details and the components of the soil that our eyes can't see. It's very important to know to open hold the soil and study the soil and pay for the people, because we have in Portugal and all over the world people that only study the soils, and I think it's very important. And I finished the university 60 years ago, and the things changed completely. The direction of plantation that we study at the school nowadays, it's the opposite. We don't have the true right position of plantation. The direction, nowadays depends of different things. In Alentejo, for example, because it's too warm, we have the opposite that I study at university. And people have to concern about this. When we decide to plant a vineyard, our vineyard, I'm always talking about this, we don't have to plant our vineyard as our neighbors do. And people in Portugal look to the neighbors and plant the same, And forget, what's our aim? Selling grapes, selling wine? Fernão Pires, it's amazing because can give us very good profit of different ways, making very good wines or producing good grapes for selling. Why not? But the thing starts in managing in vineyard and take the right decisions when you decide to plant. Not only what the neighbor do, it's the right way. We have to think about the process itself.
Yeah, I think there was a great questions about winemaking. Give us any tips for wine vinification. I think it's not vinification. I think is what you said. You start you start with the end product in mind. So you have to know from the onset what you're going to do. You get the yield right for what you're trying to do. You pick at the right time, as you indicated, and you don't over oak. So those are all amazing tips. So Joana, I've learned a lot about Fernão Pires today from you, and I hope that our guests also learned. I am really grateful for all of you guys who stuck around. We started with the number of people who have the same number, so I think it's been a nice session. Thank you very much for your amazing answers, and more importantly, thank you all of you guys for being with us. And I'm telling you, based on the wines that I've tasted today, I think you guys should go tomorrow and look out for some Fernão Pires. So there's some promise there. And so, Joana, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much for all the people. Thank you. And cheers.
Cheers.